I now get to introduce your next speaker, a great friend of mine, Don Megerle, former Tufts head men's swimming coach. Don was named to the list of the top 100 collegiate swimming coaches in the last 100 years and is one of only 15 in the Division III to have that honor. Currently, Don is the Tufts University Marathon team coach and director. He also served as meet director for NCAA championships, as a site rep, making sure the championships that you were in ran smoothly. He's a remarkable man, Don Megerle.
Thank you, Peter. And to Marcy and Tori and Sarah, the flowers and the accolades on you, they should continue for the next 20 years. I owe so much to Coach. I'm tempted not to call him Jim. I want to call him Coach because as a coach knows, when someone calls you Coach, they have given you the highest accolade, the highest sense of respect. And I've always said to people, in return, you owe them your full attention because it's not about you, it's always about them. And this man has given me so much more than I deserve, and I want to thank you personally. I love you. I don't respect you, I adore you, and I mean that quite frankly. Jim wants me to be brief, and I will try a little bit, but I do want to read a couple of words that I have to say. Peter mentioned that I was the NCAA meet coordinator for nearly 90 Division III men and women and Division I meets. And it brought me so many memorable occasions about the women and men in this room and about many that you've never met, but left an impression on me that is extraordinary. And when I would leave the Division III meet, I would go to the Division I men's meet, and I would tell them all about what the men and women in Division III did, these spectacular times. And one stands out, and this is kind of funny. This is when Jimmy Bourne goes 19.73 in a 50-yard freestyle. And it was 85-86, Jim. 85. We're at Emory University. I'm standing on the side of the pool, and I look up at the Colorado timing board. I see 19.73, and I cried. It meant so much to me. It just put me in a place I've never been before. Now I go to Minnesota, where the Division I men's meet is, and all the coaches kind of gather around, and how did this guy do, how'd that guy? Let me tell you about Jim Bourne. And I tell them the time. And they say to me, one of the smarter Division I coaches, and I won't use his name, I'll use initials, but Glenn Patton from Iowa said to me, he goes, yeah, but did they use electronic timing? I said, oh, no. We're the Fred Flintstones of swimming. Every event, we would have the coaches stand on the side of the pool, and when the swimmer would dive in, we'd all count in unison. 1, 2, 3. And this idiot believed me. He goes, well, how'd they get to 7-3? I said, well, we got lucky. As I mentioned in Jeff's book, it was impressive beyond years with his cerebral approach to college swimming. I love what he has to say and think and impress upon his athletes. I watched last week the 54-minute interview that was done with Jess and this one, the reporter who was really interested in how did Jim do what he does. And for these young swimmers, do two things. Go back to 2011 and listen to Coach Steen's commencement address to the class of 2011. I remember reading a little bit about it and listening to it, and then I went back to it last week to really digest it. I said to Jim, that is a fascinating approach to life. It is a blueprint for success. If you're having a tough day, you want to be motivated, read that over again and over and listen to Jess because they have a lot of wisdom to share with you as athletes. When I heard about Jim Steen, I heard it from his brother, the late David Steen. And David was a bartender and part owner of the Lord Bunbury's restaurant and bar in Faneuil Hall, which I attended as often as I could. I couldn't wait to leave practice. I tell the guy, swim a little fast, dry off a little fast. I got to get down to Lord Bunbury. I got to talk to Dave. And as I would early part of the fall of 1975, Dave would always say, have you met my brother Jim yet? I go, no, that will come in March. It's only December, Dave. Just give me time. Now January comes. He goes, have you met Jim yet? Dave, it's January. I got a couple months to go to get to March. Now I finally meet Jim Steen. It's 1976. We're W&J in Washington, Pennsylvania. And I meet the gentleman, and I also met the soon-to-be famous Professor Tim Schutt, who became my announcer for Division III men and women for 28 years. You talk about bonding with a guy. This guy was, he's the best. Tim Schutt was the best. These guys together could take it on the road and make multi-millions. So finally, I come back to the bar after meeting Jim Steen, and Dave is so excited. He said, did you meet him? Did you meet him? What do you think? What do you think? And I go, he's not as tall as you, Dave. The sound of hearing "We Are the Lord's" resonated with one of my swimmers. My last attending the Division III meet, we're in St. Louis, and Jason Capper, one of 4 swimmers that made a relay that year. We walk onto the deck for finals, and he hears in the background, "We are the Lord's. We are the Lord's." And he turned to me, he goes, "What is that?" And I said, "That's Kenyon College. Get used to it." I talk about Jim often to friends outside of swimming, and they always say to me, "Well, how good is this guy?" I said, let's put it in a football metaphor, football season. Jim is the kind of guy, if he had a football team, he'd come to the Rose Bowl and take his team, beat your team, and then walk across the field and take your team and beat his team. And the guy would say, "He's pretty good." I go, "Yeah, he's called the best. That's what the best can do." And like most speakers here tonight, we have read a lot about Kenyon swimming and diving over the years. And there was one interesting clip on one of the Kenyon journals out of Alumni Magazine. The writer was talking about when you compare what Jim Steen has done, you must compare him to all the legendary greats of all time. And they mentioned Red Auerbach, Vince Lombardi, and all these great quotes. And I'm reading. I go, no, you got this all wrong, buddy. But finally, at the end of it, after naming like 10 or 12 of the top professional and collegiate coaches, he said, but that wouldn't be fair because combined, they would not even come close to what he has done. And I thought that's a beautiful tribute to Jim. My Kenyon summers really were eye-opening for me. I had no idea what I was in store for when Coach Steen asked me to be a part of the TPSC staff. Not a clue, but I dove into it, hit feet and hands first because I knew that it was going to be a lot of fun because I was going to have a chance to be around this guy. I didn't know at the time how it would enhance my coaching, but it did tremendously. The true testament of his devotion, integrity, and excellence are expressed in the Kenyon swimming universe was on full display from the moment we stepped into the Ernst Swimming Natatorium. My most valuable and treasured time on the Kenyon College campus during those summers was derived from my close association with this amazing man, Coach Steen. After years of considerable observation, in my mind, Coach Steen's real gift to competitive swimming was through his creation of the TPSC. And I say that because of the coaches who attended and who spawned out from there to go on to coach successful college coaches around the country. And it is extraordinary. As a staff member in the early 1980s, his life lessons made an impression on everyone he met. During my first summer, while feverishly taking notes, and I brought with me a 32-year-old notebook that I've kept with me. I still refer to it. I look at it. I've looked at it all this week. And the things that are the little nuggets of wisdom in here are extraordinary. I learned all about the framework and structure for success, team guidebooks, training concepts, benchmark sets, color schemes, the power rack, practice organization, queuing up, timing feet to feet, feet to hands, alternate swimming lanes, the stopwatch. It's a beautiful thing. It keeps us motivated. It also puts things in perspective. And no one could swing a stopwatch and use it better than Jim Steen. The Elite Sprint Camp was really pretty exciting because it sort of opened up this realm of bringing the best sprinters, men, young teenage kids onto campus at Kenyon College. And once we were sitting there, and I'm not sure, but I know that Joel Stager was in the audience, Amy Williams is there, and Coach Steen is there, and I'm sitting next to J.P. Gowdy. Now, J.P. Gowdy was a past national champion swimming at Middlebury College in the 400 IM. 136, 200 freestyler, 358, 400 IM. He's now the coach at Pomona, been top 10 men and women. Pretty good swimmer. And he was a pretty good partier, like yours truly, standing here. So one of the coaches finishes their lecture, and there are about 30 kids in the audience. These are great swimmers all over the country, 10, 12, 13 years old. And for some reason at the end, maybe Joel or Jim said, anyone have any questions? One of the young little kids, this is funny, he raised his hand, and he said, I have a question, Coach. How do you put in perspective an athlete in alcohol? And I go, oh, Jesus. This poor kid has no idea what he's going to hear. Jim decided to answer this poor 12-year-old kid all by himself. 6'6", stands up. He says things you have all heard, but in about a 15-minute rant, it was fascinating. I stopped drinking for a week after listening to it. It was unbelievable. Now, J.P. Gowdy is sitting next to me, and his eyes are just like saucers listening to this guy talk for the first time. Here's the crux of it. Now, when Jim was finished talking to this kid, the kid probably thought to himself, how can I be like Houdini? Like, how can I become invisible? And I turned to JP, and I said, JP, what do you think of that? JP turned to me, and he said, and these are beautiful words, he goes, if I had gone to Kenyon, I would have swum faster. And I thought that it was an underscore the Jim Steen approach to competitive swimming. Jim never harbors negative thoughts, and I like that about him. And I've given him room to build up negative thoughts about me, but he refuses to do it, and I've always admired him for that. He has an enviable talent to cut through the extraneous and get directly to the crux of a problem. He has an exceptional sense of intuition. He quickly ascertains what makes each and every individual tick and uses this knowledge to make everyone perform at an increasingly higher level. As swimmers, Coach Steen banished your demons, but as crucially, he embraced and accentuated your strengths. There are many beautiful parts to Jim. His ability to completely focus on the people he is with and the task at hand is legendary. As meet coordinator, what I also, as I would run the meet, you were 1980, what your first men's national championship, 80? 1980. So he goes 76, 77, 78, then now 80. So we're right around 1979. I'm counting up the votes for Coach of the Year. Every coach writes down so-and-so from this college, so-and-so. And I'm tallying them up with someone in the office. And I noticed this guy, Jim Steen, is getting a lot of these votes. So I turned to the guy who's helping me count. I said, wait. He's a brand new coach. He's got to prove himself, which, of course, you did with 16 following Coach of the Year awards. And you won when you won that first year, 1979, and then 80, 81, 82, on and on and on. Your display of competitive drive at the NCAA championships sometimes aroused a little jealousy in some teams. And I'm reminded of UC San Diego Williams in 1994. I love watching Jim put that flame out. And only Jim and I know what we're talking about here. But it was a time where he put a team in its place. Not so much the team, but the coach. And it was a lesson that I've never seen done before. It was absolutely beautiful. There have been many quotes, and I love walking up to the pool deck today to see, etc., and about the exalted will be humbled. But the one that I've always liked, and I use continually with our runners and the athletes I deal with, and that is, in order to engage in battle without compromise, you must find a place within yourself where success and failure don't matter. It's like Deepak Chopra talks about detachment. Detach from what you want to get the desired goal. In closing, the magnitude of respect that his peers have for him is simply extraordinary. And I surveyed about 15 coaches around the country to give me a 2-3 line thought process about Coach Steen, and they all did. But I want to use one that resonates with me. And this is by Adam Hoyt, the Tufts University swimming coach who was NCAA Coach of the Year with Jess Book a couple of years ago. And he said, I quote, "Every interaction I've had with Coach Steen has been one where I felt the world stopped, and the only one that mattered in that moment was our conversation. It was hard for me to take my eyes off Coach Steen when I shared the pool deck with him at TPSC or at NCAA meets. Jim's friendship with each of you is a glue that holds Kenyon swimming and diving together. And of all the things I am most grateful for, The one that stands out so often is being called your friend. On this very special night, your family, the athletes, staff, the Kenyon academic community, and devoted friends can finally say again in one solitary gesture, thank you, congratulations, we love you, Coach. Oh, wow. I wish I had my phone. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is before I came out here, and I'll be real quick on this one. This is sort of funny. So I had a little trouble leaving Boston on Tuesday. So I couldn't get to Rochester, New York for 2 nights. I paid for the hotel. That cost me a few $100. Now it's Thursday, and I wanted to come out. I couldn't come out because my cat's vaccinations, they were canceled, and I couldn't take them to the pet motel, so I had to find somebody to take care of my cats. And then I couldn't leave on Friday because the BAA, the Boston Athletic Association, said, you got to come to the mandatory meeting we just scheduled 2 days ago. I said, I've been planning on this trip since May. You scheduled a meeting 2 days ago, and you're telling me I got to be at this meeting? They go, or else. So I go to the meeting. Now, before I leave to go from Boston to Rochester down here to Gambier, I stopped and I bought a scratch ticket. You know, a little lottery ticket. You pay $10, $15 for it, and you lose all the time. So it's a $50, this is cool, $50 ticket. I start scratching the numbers matching up. 1 matched up, 2 matched up. The total, together, $5,000. So drinks on me tonight, everybody.